Good morning everybody, and today I wanted to talk to you all about the actual word sustainability. So that's what I wanted to start today with. I'm going to be going through an explanation of what sustainability really means, which many people may have a concept of already in their own heads, but I want to make sure that everybody has the same level of understanding on that word. And ultimately what I'm trying to explain today will be why sustainability is just about better business. It doesn't have to be anything more complicated than that. Before I start, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Ruth Holroyd and I work for a company called Oakleaf Business Solutions Limited. That's my own company which I started in 2012 to support business with implementation of and education on sustainability. I've worked for 10 years now in the sustainability world, predominantly in the travel industry. So I worked for 7 years at Thomas Cook and I was their global head of sustainability, looking after their sustainability programme across the world. More recently I've also been working in conjunction with Positive Impact, who are an educational not-for-profit set up to provide education to the events industry on sustainability. And I've been working with them for the last 3 years, so I've been working closely with the events industry and particularly the AECC, who we're here to talk about today, on implementation of sustainability and the events industry standard ISO 2012-1, a standard which I'll also give you an insight into today. Just to give you a bit of background on Positive Impact, as I've said already, they are a not-for-profit set up purely to provide education to the events industry on sustainability. Their vision is to create a sustainable events industry. It's as simple and straightforward as that. And Positive Impact are part of a group of companies which started out in 2004 with a company called Organise This, which was an events management company set up to organise events in a way that was environmentally efficient and socially sustainable. From that company it quickly became apparent that there was a lack of knowledge within the industry, and that led to the creation of Positive Impact to fulfil that gap. Positive Impact started in 2005, so it's celebrating its 10th year anniversary today. And they also have another company called Sustainable Events Limited. That's a private company who does consultancy and support directly with implementation of the ISO standard and also with reporting to international standards on sustainability. So back to the word sustainability itself. What does that really mean? Now, the most commonly used definition of sustainability is the one from the Brundtland Report, which is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Quite a complicated definition, but by far the easiest of all the ones that I've seen. So this is the one that's most commonly used. What I want to get across to you today, that sustainability doesn't have to be complicated, it doesn't have to be something extra. It's just simply about operating business in a better way. So why do you need to spend more on something if you can get the same result by spending less? Why would you want to not invest in those people that make your business what it is? And that is simply what sustainability is to me. It's just about better business. So hopefully I can get that message through to you across the course of this presentation. So sustainable business is most commonly defined under these 3 pillars that are shown on this slide. 3 pillars, 3 dimensions, also known as environmental, social and economic pillars, or more simply the 3 P's of people, planet and profit. So the 3 of those things together incorporate sustainability and sustainable development. So it's not just the focus on the environment or the green side of things, which is what most people think about first. There's also these other 2 areas to be considered. Now that's one kind of diagram that's often used to define and explain sustainability, but I prefer to use this one, and this is what I call the triple bottom line. So it's about your bottom line not just being about economic profit, it's also about all these other aspects that fit together to make your business successful and sustainable for the long term. The 3 circles intertwined are there to show that a truly sustainable business is considering all three of these equally, and it's only when you hit the middle point that you could say that you are a more sustainable business. And that's part of the complexity of sustainability, is that, well, you may be making improvement in one area, that may be having a negative impact in another, and that's always something that you need to consider whilst you're working in this field, and make sure that you always have your mind open to how that's affecting the other two areas. So that gives you the triple bottom line, so the effect it has on the triple bottom line, and that's when you're really looking at sustainability in the best way. Now, one other way I wanted to talk to you about what sustainability meant was under the umbrella of stakeholder management. Now, stakeholder management basically means stakeholders are all those people who have interest in your business. So if I ask most people the question of who has an interest in your business, the answers that most people will immediately come up with are the four represented here: shareholders, employees, customers and suppliers. So they'll be the four answers that trip immediately off the tongue, and as the people who have the most interest in your business. However, what about all of these additional groups? All of the people listed on this slide also have an interest of some sort in your business. The government, they're obviously interested in what everybody's doing. Local communities, the communities that surround your business, are interested in what difference your business brings to their community, to their environment. Those people have an impact on your business and an interest in your business. Your competitors and the wider industry, obviously they're all intrigued as to what you're doing and how that impacts on them, so they've got an interest in your business. There's also here lobby groups, non-governmental organisations, which is NGOs. These are people who are maybe campaigning for a particular issue. They may have very strong feelings about something in particular that you do, and they could therefore potentially be a very negative voice against your business. That in its own way could transpire into negative publicity. So these people are also ones that are watching what you're doing and potentially will have something to say about it. Academics regularly take an interest in businesses because they use case studies and examples of those businesses to teach students who are the future of your workforce. In addition, universities often do research into various industries and come up with sometimes interesting, sometimes less so, insights into the industry itself, and they therefore are constantly looking at all kinds of businesses to see what they're doing and how they're reacting to the current economic times or the local environmental change, etc. The final two listed here are suppliers. Now, most people immediately think about suppliers as being as a stakeholder in your business, but people tend to forget your suppliers' suppliers. So everybody here today is here because you're a supplier of the AECC, but you've obviously got your own suppliers. Now, whilst the AECC might not immediately think about them as a stakeholder, in fact, the work those people do feeds directly into AECC as a business, so those people are important too, not to be forgotten. And the last one of all is the planet. Now, we're all reliant on the planet to provide the things that we need to make our businesses work in some way. That could be water, it could be energy, it could be natural resources, but we all need something that the planet provides. So it's not something that can be forgotten, and it's a key thing rather than a person that has an interest in your business. So thinking about sustainability in these terms, what it effectively means is well-managed stakeholders mean a more sustainable business. So a business that is looking after the interests of all these different people will be a more sustainable business. So that's just another way of thinking about what sustainability means and trying to put it into terms of what you do and how you work on a day-to-day basis. So having thought about all that, the next question is, why do we need to bother at all? What is this and why do we need to think about it? And obviously we're all here to tell you it's very important. So what I wanted to do is just to guide you through some of the business case reasons why sustainability is a really important thing to consider for you. The first and the most obvious of these is cost. And it's important to say that this doesn't have to cost more. Yes, there may be some investment required, but that will come with a return. But sustainability generally is about being more efficient, and that in itself leads to more money in your pocket, and that is money that goes to your bottom line. The other important factor to consider for cost is that this can also improve your cash flow. So monitoring your energy use means that you have a clear picture of how much your energy bills are going to be from one month to the next. That allows you to release cash in your cash flow forecast because you know exactly how much your bill is going to be. Now that is obviously a big bonus of running a more environmentally efficient business, and one that sometimes gets forgotten above the return on investment. And a couple of examples that I've just got here. In 2012, which actually scarily is now 3 years ago, Marks and Spencer's reported that their Plan A programme, which is their sustainability programme, had already generated £105 million in additional profit. Now that is a substantial amount of money and comes after the investment that they actually put into that programme. So clearly they have seen direct financial paybacks for what they've done. We've also seen an example from Zurich Insurance, who worked hard on implementation of sustainability within one of their events, together with Positive Impact. And having put many things into action, they worked out they'd actually saved 20% of their event budget from the work that they'd done on sustainability. So that money then went directly back in to more investment into making sure that that could be rolled out across other events. So there are cost savings to be had by doing this properly. So that's the big first part of the business case. The next one is reputation and brand protection. Now we can't put a financial price on brand damage, but obviously there are lots of examples out there, 3 of which we've got on here, of how badly managed sustainability issues have led to reputational damage for business. So going back quite a long time now, the child labour issue for Nike, where they found children making trainers in factories in India, and as a result of that, Nike now have one of the best supply chain management systems in the world. I'm not saying it's perfect, but they have put a lot of investment into that after the damage that that did to them. More recently, here we've had the horse meat scandal across all supermarkets, but actually Tesco came out of that the worst, and they're still suffering now with a lot of damage to their brand. How much of that is linked to that, people don't know, and that's the problem. You can't put a price on what that does to your business, but it does have an effect. Well-managed businesses will have less damage to their brand and will be more successful. The next one is risk management. So all businesses manage risk in some way, and many elements of sustainability present a direct business risk. Resource scarcity leads to shortages in materials, which leads to increased costs for those materials. There are potentials for increased taxation on carbon emissions as we continue to fail to hit targets on carbon emission reductions. And then also a social and community one is that if you have disengaged and angry communities around where your business is based, that can lead to an increase in crime, complaints, protests against what you do. So if you build up a good relationship with those people and manage that risk, then you will then potentially reduce those negative aspects. Increased staff engagement. Now it's shown many a time by many study that working for a company which cares or which gives something back makes people proud, and people who are proud to work for a business have higher morale. So you get increased loyalty and therefore you get reduced turnover. The other bonus is that people want to work for you, so you get to pick the best. So if people prefer to work for a business that's doing good, which I think we can safely say that most of us would, then that means you get increased levels of high calibre applicants for your jobs, and that means you get to choose who you want to work for you. We all know that the costs of recruitment are high, so being able to keep the staff you've got and get good quality people in is a huge business advantage. And certainly from all the work that I've been involved with over the years, I've only ever seen a positive response to work that a business does in this area. People want to be involved because they think it's the right thing to do. once they realise what it is.